Hello, welcome to my Skillshare class. I'm Jessica Sanders, ColorMeCreativeArt.com. In this beginner watercolor class, I will show you a fantastic way to improve your watercolor skills with daring doodling. First, we'll talk about skills you can improve and build by doing a simple doodle. And then we'll go on to take a look at ink doodles and how you can transfer those or sort of translate those into watercolor. And then I'll do some sample doodle watercoloring for you, kind of like this. And next, it's your project. This is a doodle that I created in my Moleskine sketchbook previous to making this class. And I want to share with you a little bit about the kinds of skills you can work on building just by doing a simple doodle pattern making illustration. So I'm just going to point out a few things in this particular pattern painting to show you what I'm talking about. So first thing that you're automatically going to work on when you're creating any watercolor painting really, but especially in this kind, is water control and brush control. So you're making lines, you're paying attention to how much water you have on your brush, how much is on the paper. So those are skills that are sort of innate to watercolor that you build over time, is learning how your paints act and how they react with water, how much water you have in use. So those are two skills that you would do in any watercolor painting really. But in this, it gives you a really focused way of working toward that. So another skill that you will build by doing these watercolor pattern drawings or pattern paintings are brush marks. So these are basically brush marks type doodles, and you will learn more about how to use your brush, which brushes do what, and that sort of thing. See all of these brush marks. And you can even do expressive brush marks if you chose to doodle that way. You will learn also more about negative shapes. So here's an example of negative shape that I put in this particular doodle. I did not paint this shape, I painted around the shape. Of course I did this at a separate time, but I painted around these shapes to create a shape. So you will learn about negative shape painting. Also in this particular section you will learn about glazing or layering your colors, and also about your value from light to dark. You see this has 4 layers of the same color, and I'll show you how to apply this in a separate video, but it's layered. It's not all done in one fell swoop. So it's good practice for layering or glazing, so you can learn how the colors look over one another. I could have done different colors here, just playing around and learning. You will also learn about letting go of perfection, which is an important skill for any creativity, obviously, but in watercolor in particular, because this is a medium that's not as controllable as some others, and what you lay down on the page matters. So you can't necessarily just go back over it with a different color and expect a different result. Like if it were acrylics, you could just cover over it and keep going, but in watercolor everything is transparent. And so you're going to learn a lot about just how patient you are, maybe, or learning to let go of that perfectionism and wanting everything to be just perfect, because in real life things aren't really perfect. Learn about different kinds of washes by creating this. So maybe a flat wash. This is a pretty flat wash circle, all even color, but you can see some of these are not as flat and single color as the rest. They have lighter areas. These are not, this is more of a gradiated wash. So I had this lighter and then work toward darker in these. In this other page I have a variegated wash where I had the yellow and blue and let them mix together in the wash. You can learn wet on dry, which is what most of this is done, but you could also do wet and wet, in which the variegated wash is kind of a wet and wet technique. So you're all building so many different skills just by doing this one project or activity. It's going to make a huge difference for you. You can work also on color theory. You can work on color flow. So what colors look good together, what colors don't, what colors pop out of the page. You can look again at the value. There's a huge benefit to doing this kind of painting. And it may not be what you would normally call art, but it's a great exercise for building your skills in watercolor. Simple class, fun to do. I think you'll enjoy it, so I hope you'll come and join me.